Welcome to Your Number Man, where we share financial strategies, business insights, and inspiring stories to help you navigate a successful business. I am your host, Johan, and my goal is to help you achieve a bigger life in business. So today we got an excellent guest in the studio. His name is Luke Underdown, and Luke is a coffee roaster, gelato chef, and a true entrepreneur. And he and his wife Katie, they run the Barossa Beans and Cream in the Main Street, a very popular place on a hot day. It's a beloved spot in Tanunda. There's a lot of tourists, favorable among all the tourists as well. Now, Luke's story is actually quite interesting. I'm going to give Luke a chance to talk about it very soon, but he was actually a customer who fell in love with the story behind and then decided, no, he wants to buy the business. And somehow a miracle happened and you got the money and you manifest it.
Things fell into place, yeah.
Things fell into place, and now it's 2 years later and you're navigating all the challenges of the business and you're refining your craft and you're pushing your business forward. And in the meantime, you're staying clear of your vision, you're staying clear of the industry trends, you're looking at your strategic planning, and you just manage it. So, Luke, hey, welcome, mate. Great to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
I'm very
mate.
excited to be here, and that was a lovely introduction.
Thanks. And tell us a bit about the story. What was the story? What made you fall in love and decide, nah, I'm going to buy this place? Yeah.
It's quite unique in that I was a very loving customer for many years before we had the opportunity to take over. I developed a relationship with the previous owner. We had great rapport, and I was there for the ice cream, for the gelato. I fell in love with, Josh was his name. I fell in love with his passion and knowledge for the products. One day we just got talking and he indicated that he was keen to move on for personal reason. And that just sparked the idea in my head that this is something that I really want to do. That idea just grew into a bigger and bigger desire that this is something that I definitely want to do. I don't see any other future outside of beans and cream. So that's how it came to be.
That is fantastic. Yeah. And did you have a rich uncle or somebody that said, I need a couple of grand or?
No, we needed the deposit. So I had saved up the money for the deposit. It was very difficult to get the bank loan.
Yes.
Business, commercial loans, you have to jump through hoops to get. After a number of months and business planning with the bank, we were approved. And it just moved on from there.
That's great. And now you're living your dream. And then one of my questions would be, our first question is, let's talk a little bit about vision and purpose. When you took over Beans and Creams, what was your vision of that business? And now looking back 2 years, is it 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, almost 2 years, Yeah. In the early days, the vision was more about maintaining the existing business that was already going on under Josh. The business had a fantastic reputation. The products were amazing. The customer service was excellent. So we wanted to come in and make the transition as seamless as possible. So the vision was more about maintaining the business and then earning the trust of the regulars, the customers, and the staff. Now it's about growth and refinement. We're constantly implementing processes, improving the coffee roasting, expanding the gelato offerings, introducing new products like acai bowls, which has been a lot of fun. And then also we've got a vision of looking into wholesale and distribution market, particularly for gelato and coffee. So really excited to explore that area.
A bit of a coffee snob myself.
Good.
And I like your refills. Every now and again I go and I refill my thing, and in the morning I ground it and doing it old-fashioned way, sitting there watching the birds and everybody and just like wallet pip pip pip. Yeah,
it's therapeutic. There's an art to it.
Yes.
In telling the story of our coffee.
Yeah.
Having a more intimate experience with the process of how it was farmed, how it was roasted, why we have the blend the way that we have it, the flavor profile that you could expect out of the coffee.
Yeah. So that's lovely. So if somebody comes in there and say, hey, Luke, I've got certain values. I want to know where my coffee's coming from and how it's farmed and how did the people at work on the farms treat it. Would you be able to tell people that story?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Last year at the MICE conference, the Melbourne International Coffee Exhibition, I had the privilege of meeting one of the farmers of our beans themselves. And we did an interview then. And it was him that told me the processes of harvesting the beans, drying them out, washing them, fermenting them, getting them into a bag that's imported into Australia from across the world. So it's a story that we want to get better at in sharing to the world.
That is amazing. And where is it?
Currently, it's a Brazilian bean.
Brazil
are responsible for about 40% of the global coffee production. They've got a huge variety. They're more known for your smooth textures, but with fermenting processes, you can get some really beautiful flavors similar to what you'd get out of high altitude Ethiopia, for example.
Yeah.
But look, you're not limited to the country of origin. We're constantly shopping around and looking for what.
And work on that product and work on your story and
working on a product that fits your customer base.
Yeah.
In the Barossa Valley where we are, it's a very conservative customer base. They like smooth, dark, rich, chocolatey flavors, nutty flavors.
Almost goes with the wine.
There's a lot of similarities to wine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I've seen some of your winemakers walk into your shop as well.
Yeah, we've got a couple barons
before they go into their tasting. Apparently, you should smell your beans before.
Yeah, we do a coffee cupping, and it's very similar to how you taste wine, and also how you sell coffee is similar to how you sell wine.
Yeah,
it's about a story that you can create. And focusing on the velvety flavors. And we definitely want to emphasize more on the story.
And I was going to ask you about the trends of the coffee, but I've actually listened to something interesting this morning. She does this podcast. She's called the Glucose Goddess, and she's talking about health and how to eat and how to mix your food. So it's all about health and glucose, but she also talks about coffee. Nowadays, a lot of people say coffee is not good. A lot of people say coffee is good for you. But apparently a lot of studies has been done which actually showed that your coffee will actually keep your glucose more in line. Make sure you don't get all those glucose spikes, but people still get it because they put sugar or very sweetness into the coffee. But apparently coffee itself is actually good for, I don't know what technology, but anyway, that's something that you can leverage on as well, perhaps. There's a bit of science there.
There's a number of different leverages you can use, and the push towards the health trend is definitely one that we're aware of. We're probably not capitalizing on that health trend as much. I've put more of a focus onto developing the origin stories. The feedback is that you want to experience and have an education on the product to a greater level. The trend for us is working on being honest and upfront and authentic. We want to describe as much as possible about the coffee process. There's also been a trend towards more unique coffee profiles, different tastes, and the darker, bold coffee has its place, the darker roast, but we are seeing a growing demand for the light to medium roasts where you can really emphasize the flavor molecules and the sweetness and acidity of the beans. So we're probably yet to explore the health trend of coffee. There's a lot of information out there, and that's what we're trying to do.
And in the same gelato, and we're talking about health. Now, gelato is on the other side of the coin. It's probably full of sugars and glucose as well, but it's all about, you're not going to eat 6 gelatos a day.
No, you're not.
People come in there for experience, obviously.
And it's a treat.
It's a treat.
Something that lifts your mood, and it can completely change the way your day is going. For me, my taste is very much so aligned with my memory. And I try to incorporate beautiful flavors with fond memories that I've had as a child. And one of those is peanut butter and jam gelato.
Sounds like Elvis.
I tried making that one because as a kid, that's what we had for lunch. Peanut butter and jam on sandwiches wrapped in cling wrap. And it takes me back to being free and independent as a kid. And so I'm more focusing on the experience of the gelato rather than being hyper aware of the health of the product.
That is a great segue to, it's that memories. As a kid, you went to the beach with your parents and it was this beautiful gelato shops. Like the old fashioned kind of thing. It brings back memories. And that's, it's all about marketing, all about business. And it's business, but it's also getting into, you really want the customers to have an experience.
Absolutely.
Talking about business, let's talk a little bit about your strategic planning. So running a business involves balancing day-to-day operations with long-term goals. So you're 2 years in. Did you actually sit down? And I have to ask you this question because I am the number man. Did you actually sit down, done a strategic plan 2 years ago, and also crunched a little bit of numbers? And
we did, especially in order to get the loan from the bank. There's been a lot of crunching numbers, to your point about balancing day-to-day operations with your long-term goals. What's worked for us is having a massive whiteboard in the house, in the shop. It's got the month laid out, it's got the week, the days of the week, and we're putting on the day-to-day tasks on each day. And then we've got 3 giant columns which are called our to-dos, and that's in order of priorities. The major priorities are more the end goals, the long-term priorities of your vision, where you want the business to be. And then the more immediate priorities are the micro goals that you need to do in order to get to that vision. So we're pretty old school in that we just use a whiteboard for our strategic planning and keeping on top of our to-dos.
It's probably with all the AI and everything available, sometimes people say the best way to still do it is go back to the basics.
For me, it needs to be in front of me. I need to be seeing it as much as possible, almost like a vision board. If it's in front of you, you're aware of it, you're paying attention to what you need to be doing. And I probably just wouldn't get that if it was a...
Yeah, it depends. If you're on the road, you only got your phone with you. You want to have all your schedules close to you on your phone and all the notifications. But if you're in a shop running around, you got to use what's best.
And it changes. So for me, the whiteboard is the way to go.
Moving from the whiteboard to that is your day to day. Now you got to almost have a bird's eye view, move away you as the manager or as the owner of the business and see where we're going. Are we steering the ship in the right direction?
Yeah, absolutely. You can get caught up in working in the business. Just doing the day-to-day operations. If you're not working on the business is just stagnant. It's so important that you're innovating, working on ways to grow towards a vision. Otherwise, you're jeopardizing your growth and you're potentially risking going backwards.
You mentioned the word innovate. You know, a lot of people listening to this might say, okay, innovate. How do you innovate? Innovate coffee. How do you keep on innovating and make it?
There's always ways.
It's the coffee, it's the experience, it's your point of difference.
Working on your point of difference for sure. There's different forms of innovation. One of the things that fortunately the previous owner had the foresight to do was buy in a machine called Wally. It's a robotic milk steam frother and it saves us a bunch of time in the process. So it's making the coffee ordering process more efficient and quicker. You can look into technological improvements. You can look into innovating the story of the product and your marketing. All different forms of ways to innovate.
So Wally, tell me about Wally. Is it your previous owner? That's Josh. Did Wally?
No, Wally is the actual name of the robot.
It
looks very much like Wally, just smaller and
so it's
slicker.
a bit of a nickname.
What's what the business decided to call the machine.
The business.
It's a very expensive piece of equipment that will automatically froth the milk for you to the particular coffee that it needs. A flat white,
it's amazing,
a baby chino, a cappuccino, whatever it is. So if there's only one person on the coffee machine at the time, let's say it's a quieter late afternoon, they can use Wally to steam the milk while they're preparing the coffee shop or doing something else. It's made the process a lot quicker. Customers don't want to wait 15 minutes for a coffee.
But they also want a good coffee.
But they also want a good coffee. Wally is a good little segue into that.
I love it. That's great. That answered my question. And in growth as well. If you innovate, because you mentioned one of the things is you are challenging yourself every day, every morning. Am I right? Because I think you mentioned once when I came into the shop, we had a coffee. It wasn't very busy, so we just had a bit of a chat. And you mentioned to me how you like to wake up every morning and really decide what's my challenge for the day. You like challenging yourself.
I like getting closer towards the business's vision. That's for me the most rewarding part of the day-to-day operations is seeing that we're getting closer to our goals. We're getting closer to increased customer satisfaction, increased coffee yield, working towards creating a more compelling story for the products, working towards creating a more fun workplace with a great morale. And it's in seeing the improvements there. That's what I'm passionate about.
Your team is pretty cool.
They're really cool.
And the fact that the people remembers me and they know my name, isn't that amazing? How much difference that makes to a place where people actually, not you're seeing thousands of people a week, but some of the people, they make a point to remember you. Or if they don't remember your name, say, hey, last time you were here, you had a little black dog with you. How's it going? Where's your dog today? Is he all right in the heat? Or stuff like that. People starting a conversation.
As a customer, before we purchased the business, one of the major reasons why I kept coming back was because I felt welcomed by everyone. My name was remembered. My order was remembered. We could chat and I had a great rapport with not just Josh, the owner, but with a lot of the staff there. To honor what Josh and his family had built, we didn't want that to drop at all. And it's been a priority for us when we hire new staff. You need to be asking the question, what do I need to do to get this customer to want to come back? It includes remembering names, remembering preferences, and just being bubbly and lighthearted.
Yeah.
Sometimes just adding a different question into the routine of taking the order can throw a customer completely off guard. And you're now having a personal chat rather than just a monotone, what size would you like? Do you want any sugar? It's personal.
The winemakers, they're coming in there and you have a bit of a chat. How's vintage going? You guys are working, the guys.
Yeah, you work in hospitality, you become a bit of a gossip.
And that's great. And people don't mind. I'd rather pay $5, how do you call it, $5, $6 for a nice little a chat with a person and no spending $250 to go and see a shrink.
We are counselors.
Yeah.
You'll say, how's your day going? It's doing terribly. I've got this and this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about ways to get through that, or you're just sharing in the sadness. You're just being empathetic.
Yeah.
That is part of serving food and coffee and drinks. It is being communicative and personal.
Yeah, that's so true. I had an interview couple of weeks ago with Anna Maria. She's a retail expert. She's the chief experience officer to companies that she helps. And she talks about how your experience is so important in shops.
Yeah.
The people got to care. You got to care. You got to almost fall in love with your customer, isn't it?
It's probably the parameter that we look at the most if we're elevating a staff member to a managerial position. It's, do you care about serving an amazing product? Do you care about building rapport with your customers? Do you care about how the decisions that you're making affect my wife, Katie, and I and our business? Are you passionate about what you're doing? And if you are, you elevate those people and you make sure that they're as comfortable as possible, because they're the people that you can rely on and trust to run your business and follow the processes correctly.
And that will basically segue into my next question, which is performance management. Treat your customers right. You create a good culture. The culture feeds back into the team. The team create trust for your vision, what you're doing, and that trust creates performance, good performance. They want to walk the extra mile for the business because they buy into your dream, they buy into your story.
Yeah, they're sharing the vision.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because you got a lot of metrics and indicators that you need to track.
Yeah, of course.
Bringing back to the numbers, not specific in numbers, but you need to know this is your efficiency levels that you got to create. You got to be able to make the coffee in, I don't know, I've got no idea, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. That's your line. And you know how much coffees you can make in an hour. Bring it all back to the cost.
Yeah.
Get your gross profit right. I always talk, gross profit is my queen. Cash is king. Gross profit is queen. I'm the numbers man.
Yeah.
So that's why I say you track it, but you don't have to be a control freak.
No.
Rather use that energy to install trust in your people.
Yeah. There are a lot of metrics that we do use to make sure that we're performing to the standards that we want to perform at. Talking about the staff and their morale and their passion. If your staff are having a bad day or they're off, the morale is low, the customer picks up on that, and you can easily see a 3 or a 4-star review come through on Google reviews. We're using Google reviews as a metric and we're listening to the responses. When you do get a 1-star, don't fob it off. Don't just say, oh, that person's a dick or whatever.
Yeah.
Listen and improve. Implement the processes that you need to implement to make sure that experience doesn't happen for anyone else. And then, of course, you've got your metrics. There's a bunch of different software that you can implement. We use an extensive POS system through Lightspeed, which will obviously track your daily, your weekly, your monthly sales.
So what's the name of your system?
Lightspeed, common POS system in the hospitality industry. Use these softwares to work out what you're turning over by the hour, by the day, and also track your products that are selling. If you've got a particular product that is selling a lot per day, understand why, and then double down on it.
I love that. Yes.
So put more focus into your best sellers. And then, of course, that minimizes wastage for your low sellers. You can target what you're selling by making what sells best. And then, of course, I mean, you can go to the nth degree with metrics. We have so many different metrics that track where we're at. I do a lot of the coffee roasting myself. I'm making sure that the coffee is as consistent as possible by tracking the extraction times, the brewing ratios, the coffee yield, how much coffee we're going through per day. And we're constantly referencing that against our goals. And if it's going down, is it because of seasonal fluctuations or is it because of a different reason? Let's say, for example, my goal might be to move 10 kilos of coffee a day. What do I need to do to get to that point? I can work on signage, on branding, on packaging, barista training to make sure the coffee is great. I can work on a distribution model, social media, part of branding. So have a goal, check it against your metric system, and then implement the changes necessary to get to that goal.
Did you study business? How did you learn all this stuff? Are you an MBA?
No, not at all.
It's amazing.
To me,
You've learned it through your business. Make sure that you...
It's been from having good mentors.
Yeah.
I got to work by Josh for 6 days a week for 4 months, learning exactly what he does and how he operated the business.
Did he pay you?
He paid me enough. We agreed upon a minimal amount, which would get me through my bills, but it would also incentivize him putting me on. I could add enough value to him. I'm just curious. Because a lot of people are willing to do it. What I learned from him, I could have done for free. It was so valuable. And then also my previous work, I left school.
Yes.
Didn't study. Instead, I got to work for a small business at the time selling solar-powered streetlights. And I was brought on as a junior sales rep. My first job was cold calling councils.
Yes.
Very daunting to do, especially at 18 years of age. But the owner, Dave Wilson, had a lot of time for me. He showed me the ropes of business. He showed me that selling a product, it isn't necessarily the best way to sell a product the way that you would want to be sold to. You need to work out the personality of the person you're selling the product to and then tailor the sales process to how they would want to receive it. So I've had some good mentors in the past.
Do you have a catch up with Dave? I say, hey, Dave, look what I've got today. You got to come in for a coffee, mate.
He's
still around.
He's a great guy. He operates Green Frog Systems in Adelaide, and it's a very successful now international business. I enjoy having a chat.
Got to get Dave to listen to this podcast, man. He'll be proud of himself.
I'm sure he'll see it on Facebook.
And Joss as well. No, so we talked about mentors. Who inspired you? Any big people out there that inspired you?
A big credit has to go to my parents. Mum is very integral and very fair, so we've tried to maintain the fairness and the integrity with how we treat our staff and with how we conduct our business. And to Dad as well. Dad's been in business for 30 plus years, and I've been able to draw down on his knowledge a lot. It's helped with ways to sell, software for invoicing and managing cash flow, all the way down to strategies for growing the business.
Yeah, that's great. So they've always been there as a pillar, almost.
It has been a big part of the business.
That's amazing, yeah. Is he around? Does he live in Tanunda?
He lives locally. He lives in Hewitt. It's fantastic to have someone of his acumen to call upon and say, hey, we need a hand in fixing the pump for the air conditioner, or I want to run some strategies by you. What do you think?
Yeah.
So to have someone that you trust and love and who's got your best interests at heart has been incredibly instrumental.
Yeah. What's your dad's name?
Douglas Underdown.
Hey, Douglas, this is Johan. Luke's doing great work, mate. You can be proud of your son.
Thank you very much.
It's great to talk about mentors. You were once a loyal customer and before becoming the owner, but how did that perspective shape the way to run the business today? Because
I was a customer, I knew what I liked and I knew what I didn't like.
Yeah.
I didn't like that the business was always closed on Tuesdays. I remember going to, I ran a landscaping business in the Barossa. So I remember doing jobs in the morning and thinking, oh, I'd love an ice cream right now. Or I'd love coffee. I'm going to go in, and you'd get up to the shop and you build this expectation of what you're going to have, and the shop's closed. It was a real disappointment. We're open 7 days a week and we're open as much as possible. Last year, we only closed Good Friday morning, opened at 12 till 5, and Christmas Day. Every other day was open 8 till 5. So we're pushing consistency. One of the things I loved about the business as a customer was, and I've touched on this, is feeling super welcomed and enjoying the conversations that I had with the staff, with Billy, with Monty, and with Josh and others as well. As I alluded to, we've prioritized being friendly with our customers and building rapport, honoring what they've done in the past, and I guess learning from being a customer. That's what we've been implementing. And that also comes back into the way that you face your challenges. There's always challenges, but if you got your story and you stay close to your vision and your purpose, that challenge becomes almost easier. Yeah.
You can see the mountain in front of you. You can see where's the cliffs and where's the...
and also seeing that you're working towards getting to the top of those cliffs.
Yeah.
It is still very much a challenge for myself and for Kate, is that our work-life balance isn't great. It's unique that Katie and I work together, for starters. Working with your spouse is a unique thing. And then we live in the house behind the shop. We basically we live on site. So you're never switched off. You're mentally always thinking about the business and how do you maintain a work-life balance? So that's a challenge that we're working through and dealing with burnout.
Yeah. But you do try to go away every now and again.
We do.
Get somebody to come and...
Yeah, and look, it's not just about getting away. It's also about learning to delegate. I think that's been one of the challenges that I've faced in the last year is what can I delegate? A, without giving up any IP, but B, making sure that I can trust in the processes to delegate accordingly. So we've been implementing processes and working on delegating to some of the senior staff, and so far so good. We're always trying to make the day-to-day operations more autonomous.
And it's a very valuable for a business to one day, not I'm saying you want to sell the business, but we all got a picture, and they say, when you start a business, work with your end in sight.
Yeah.
When do you want to sell the business? How much you want for business? To work on your team, to have the processes in place, to make sure your numbers are in order.
Yeah. We're not thinking about selling.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
And that's not really a target for us.
But a good business to sell is a good business to have as well.
Absolutely.
When you think about it, if you get your business ready that you can sell it for a very good, valuable amount, you're not going to sell it. You want to keep running.
Well, it's a good metric to know that you're on the right track. If your business is valuable and is in a position of selling, then you're doing things right. And we want to make sure that we're doing as much right as possible. But it's more about ensuring that the quality of the products are great and that the experience for the customers are great and just working on your passion.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
Advice for any entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, I've got a few. Yeah. One, know your why. It's demanding, especially in hospitality, it's demanding. Without clear reasons for doing it, you're going to burn out. So stick towards your vision. Stick towards working.
So would you say why and your vision in your understanding is the same kind of thing?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Why do you do it? Yeah. Why did you buy the business?
Your vision and your why should be aligned. And we've got our own reasons for that. But the listeners, know why you're doing this and have goals that align with why you're doing it.
Yeah.
2, understand your numbers, Mr. Numberman.
Ah, yeah, fantastic. I'm happy you brought that one up.
Get comfortable with your costs. They're going to be high. Get comfortable with your pricing and your cash flow. Don't just look at your revenue. Look at the profitability per item. Look at your labor costs. Track them, your overheads, and plan for your big expenses. Because if you're not planning for BAS or for super or for major acquisitions, when that comes around and you've got to pay tens of thousands of dollars, your cash flow will get damaged. Prepare, plan for your expenses, know your numbers. Quality and consistency win every time. Coffee, gelato, food, consistency is what builds trust.
Yeah.
The customers are going to come back because it's a reliable experience.
Yeah. And any business for that matter.
Invest in what's going to make your product as valuable as possible. Invest in the processes. Shortcuts are going to hurt you in the long run. Hire the right people and then treat them well, especially the people that are caring and are passionate about what you're doing. The culture of the workplace will affect the customer experience. Yeah. Lead by example, work hard. It's not easy. You have to work hard. So trust and appreciation for your team. Learn to adapt and problem solve.
Yeah.
Equipment's going to break. Suppliers are going to let you down. Don't get emotional. Roll with the punches. I learned that from Josh. He really drilled that into me. Yeah. Roll with the punches. Don't get emotional. Yeah. Be flexible and stay solution focused. There will be a time where you've got to open in 5 hours and something that you need to open isn't working right. Don't get emotional. Just work on that solution.
Yeah.
And just know that it's a lifestyle. It's not a business. It's a lifestyle. You're going to have to work long hours and early mornings. And you need to find ways to maintain the work-life balance. And that's what Katie and I are doing. We're working on our work-life balance.
Right. And one day you're going to sit back and you're going to look at it and you say, this is amazing what is done.
Yeah.
Whether you're still working that hours or you're coming twice a week for a couple of hours.
And it happened. January for us is 3 times as busy as what winter is. So you sit down and you're doing 18-hour days and you sit down at the end of it and you go, wow, how rewarding does this feel? Because you're working on a challenge and you're getting things done. That's the rewarding part of business is you sit back, you go, wow, look what's happening. And I'm a part of it. It's such a cool feeling. Mm.
Yeah. Look, man, that is fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. I think
I've appreciated
all
the
those
opportunity to share
points,
it.
we got to take it and we got to write a book. What do you reckon? Get it out there.
I'll draw some pictures.
Yeah. The barista way to success.
What to not do when you run a cafe.
Fantastic. Actually, I like to share something with you and with our audience. I've got an announcement to make. My podcast, we've got our first sponsorship. And the sponsor is the Polaris Business Development Center. They're also known as just the Polaris Center. And they are an initiative in the city of Salisbury that provides guidance and support. And they support entrepreneurs like you, Luke, and for business to grow their business. The Polaris Center they also a proud partner of the Small Business Fundamental Program. If you ever get a chance, you know a lot, but it's also a very good program where they take you step by step how to grow your business and what you're going to take into consideration. I've done it last month and learned a lot, actually. They are actually an initiative of the government of South Australia, that's Polaris, and also part of the initiative of the government of South Australia and small family business delivered through the South Australian Business Strategy 2023 to 2030. So that's a bit of a mouthful, but anyway, yeah, I've got a sponsor. And Luke, I've also got the product on the market, which I hope our listeners will have a look at it. The link is below on the footnotes of this episode. It's called Mastering Your Pricing. And I've actually modeled a coffee shop. It's all about how to price your products. You look at your costings and then you go beyond your costings. You're going to look at what is the value? What is the value that I pay for my costings? And I also explained a lot what you said is the coffee is not just a coffee. It's an experience. It's a feel good. It brings people together. It makes us happy. That's why we probably want to buy
100%.
a coffee. If you got your point of difference, you can become a price taker and not a price maker. So anyway, and that product will work for any kind of business, really.
Yeah, costing is one of the most important parts of your business is making sure you're priced accordingly.
Yeah.
If you're operating a business, you need to be looking at your costing. So I recommend people look at your cost. You start with where your competition are. You'll look at, okay, other coffee shops around the place, what are they charging? And what are they giving for that price? And you compare what they're giving to what you're giving. And if you can find additional value adds, for example, we started introducing little house-baked chocolate chip cookies that we give away with each coffee. It's a 10-cent cost to every coffee.
Yep.
But the value add is, it's not just apple for apple anymore. It's apple and cookie versus apple.
Yeah.
Be aware of the real value of your product versus the value of others' product when you're comparing pricing.
Fantastic. You just sold my product for me. I'm so happy you came in. I will see you next week. I'm in Tanunda. I'm definitely going to come and grab a coffee.
Yeah. So I learned a lot from this. It's the first time speaking publicly for me. I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And,
no, you've been a star. And people, thanks a lot for listening. And those people who are in the Barossa, come and have a coffee. Come and have a chat. Yeah. Luke,
come meet me. I'd love
he's
to
the man.
Chat. I enjoy talking about business and especially over a coffee.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Did people call you the ginger barista?
No, but I think they will now. God.
All right. Don't worry.
Thanks, Johan.
It's me, Johan Zanik. I'm signing off with Luke from Underdown as your number man. Cheers.